What's up? It's Willie McGinnis, three-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, and I'm hanging out with my man Chris Palme, okay? Chris does a podcast, 30 Minutes Live with CDP Podcast, every Wednesday and Friday night on Twitter, Facebook, and his YouTube channel. Make sure everybody tunes in, okay, to my man Chris Palme's podcast. Again, it's every Wednesday and Friday night on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure you guys check him out.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for coming on to 30 Minutes Live with CDP today. I'm looking forward to my guest, Margaret Johnson, digital sports reporter with WIVB Channel 4 in Buffalo, and she's from Abilene, Texas, and I believe she's a Dallas Cowboys fan, but that's okay. She's nice, so Dallas Cowboys, some of them are nice. So anyways, I really appreciate Mary coming on today and talking about how she got started in broadcasting and how she has had to adjust from going to Abilene, Texas to football crazy Buffalo, which Texas is crazy too with their high school football and that. So anyways, guys, I really appreciate Mary coming on today. Excuse my pun. I at my age, I do make mistakes. But anyways, I appreciate Mary coming on. And just give me one moment, guys, and I'm going to bring Mary on, and we're going to talk some sports with everybody. So just 1 second. Hello.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me on. Can you hear and see me okay?
I can. Can you hear and see me as well?
Yes, it's just last weekend, some of my podcasts, I had an issue with Jerry Royce, the former pitcher, and then Dave Jixter from 97 Rock. So seems like the issue I had has been corrected.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah, sometimes you know this as well in TV and radio and broadcasting. Sometimes technical things happen as well.
Oh, absolutely. And with this Zoom world that we've been living in for the last 14 months, I've had my fair share of, middle of an interview, my internet going out and just having to completely scramble and figure it out. So I completely get it. Technology is not always my friend either.
Like I said, it happens to everybody. So for a while there, I was kind of getting worried there, but I think I fixed the problem, and lately it's been good. So, hey, thank you also for starting a little bit early too. I always like to try to email my guests ahead of time, just in case if there's any issues that they can get them resolved before I go on live. Yeah,
perfect. I mean, it's great. I'm at the office right now. That's why I have here we go. This Jim Kelly looking over my shoulder constantly, and Bill's themed office here in Buffalo. So, anything I'm around. So I was able to start early.
So is it tough being a Cowboys fan in Buffalo?
It was when I first started here, for sure. Everyone when I came in, everyone was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, I grew up in Dallas." They're like, "Oh, we hate the Cowboys and we hate the Stars." So the two big teams that I grew up rooting for, that was immediately like a thorn in my side for everyone up here. But I've definitely adjusted in covering the Bills and the Sabres over the last 2 years. It's been a lot of fun with the Bills because they've had such great seasons for my first 2 seasons working here. So they've played way better than the Cowboys. They just spanked the Cowboys on Thanksgiving in 2019. So I got to watch that in Buffalo in my Josh Allen jersey. So I was, I'm fully integrated into Bills community up here.
I was gonna say one of the key players the Cowboys let go is Cole Beasley. I think this guy is he used to be a pest when I'm an Eagles fan, but this guy, he works his butt off. He's another version of Julian Edelman.
Oh, absolutely. And it was so fun for me because his first season up here was in 2019. And that was my first season up here covering the Bills. So it was kind of nice knowing, having a face that I've seen in Cowboys, a Cowboys uniform for my main years growing up. So watching him up here as a Bill, I mean, he's just been crazy and he's so shifty. And I definitely enjoy watching him in a Bills uniform as opposed to if he was on a different team, having to watch him run around and, and beat up defenses like he does.
But to be fair, too, Dallas does have a good receiving core as well. So, what this move sorry, I just dry throat. I think this move was good for Cole Beasley, and he's in a football market that absolutely loves him here.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, people up here, I'm sure that they are just so Bills crazed. They love them when they're down, and they love them when they're up. So it's been definitely fun just seeing me as a Cole Beasley fan for years before this, seeing how Bills Mafia has really fully embraced him, and he's been able to shine here.
I was gonna say, and this is a crazy year when the Cowboys and Eagles made a trade at the NFL draft as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't really understand what the Cowboys are doing, and I've never claimed to, because Jerry knows more than everybody else apparently. But I think it's going to be a really interesting year, and I think it'll be a really interesting year this year with Nick Sirianni as the head coach of the Eagles. He's actually a Western New York native.
That's true, and he's sort of like a Frank Reich clone. Apparently, he has the same philosophies as Frank Reich. I wish they could have kept Carson Wentz, because honestly, the offensive line for the Eagles last year was injured. They had maybe one or two guys play most of the year. I think Jason Kelce and I think it was Lane Johnson or whatever, but they had so many changeable parts last year, and I really would have liked to see them keep Wentz, but I guess Carson wanted out and he wanted a fresh start.
And I feel like the Eagles have had that issue on the offensive line for years. So I'm interested to see what Sirianni does coming in, and hopefully they'll be able to stay healthy as an offensive line. I know that's been, injuries have really plagued the Eagles for seasons at this point. So hopefully they'll be able to stay healthy on all sides of the ball, and we'll just see what happens. As a Texas graduate, Jalen Hurts, we did not enjoy watching him in an Oklahoma uniform, but watching him in the pros, I think it'll be interesting this year. If he is the starting guy, to see, or if he even gets some more starts like he did last season, just to kind of see what he's able to do, because he's so fast and he's so big and so hard to bring down.
Well, and also that trade, you guys got the linebacker from Penn State, Micah Parsons, I believe that's his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Micah Parsons, yeah.
And then we ended up getting the Heisman Trophy winner at number 10, Devontae Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so many good players that came out of this draft. I think it'll be interesting to see how they continue to learn, to grow and become their own in the NFL.
Yeah, because like I said, the Eagles still need to get more production out of the receivers. Like, they have John Hightower, rookie, Jalen Reagor, and now they have Devontae Smith, and they still got Dallas Goedert. We have a guy named Dallas playing on the Philadelphia Eagles. So, but it looks like Zach Ertz, I have a feeling he's going to be traded very soon.
I know, and I know Bills fans would love to see Zach Ertz coming in here. And tight end has been a place that we've had, Bills have had success over the last couple of seasons, but I think it would be super cool to have Zach Ertz in a Bills uniform this season.
Yeah,
not sure what's going to happen, but I mean, Brandon Beane is a wizard when it comes to money making and the cap salary stuff. So that would be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, and last year, like I said, he had a tough year, but I still think he's only 30 years old. I think he still has some productive years left in him, and I think that's what the Bills are missing. Dawson Knox is a nice tight end, but he's not an elite tight end yet, and I think having Ertz would help Dawson Knox as well.
Oh, 100%. Just having the veteran in the room, I think that would be, I would love to see a Josh Allen to Zach Ertz, a touchdown, or, 30 maybe. I think that would be super cool. And he would be, like you said, he would be kind of the missing piece in the Buffalo offense, because they have such a strong receiving core. Just to add that tight end, the veteran tight end, I think would be awesome.
I was going to say, how do you feel about the 17-game schedule? I guess they've cut the preseason down to 3 games and now up the regular season to 17. How do you feel about that on balanced schedule?
I've never been a fan of preseason. I understand the pros of it, and I understand, especially for the rookies and the younger players, just to get those extra reps. And last year, seeing no preseason, the first couple of games were just brutal to watch for for us as fans and as media. But I think 3 preseason games that's more than enough. I think, for me personally, not a huge preseason fan, but 17 regular season games, I think that will be, I don't know. I hope that players will be able to stick it out, and that's, it's that extra game's not going to be an injury issue. I know week 17, normally the 16th game of the season is when a lot of the veterans sit out, and they play a lot of the younger players. But I don't know. I hope it's going to be not super grueling for them and on their bodies, and then they still have the whole playoffs if they they're a playoff team. I don't know. I'm interested. An extra football game, a regular season game is great for us as fans and as media, just to have extra stuff to continue to talk about. But I don't know. I guess we'll just see this year.
I was going to say I'm a Canadian Football League fan as well. And the CFL years ago went down to 2 preseason games and 18 regular season games. Those 18 regular season games, each team gets 2 bye weeks. And the NFL should maybe consider looking in that. If they do 18 regular season games and only 2 preseason, just have each team get 2 bye weeks.
Oh, that's a great idea. I think, the bye weeks are just super important. And they were, it always comes at a time, I feel like every year, no matter when the bye week is, just to get everybody healthy again. And especially this last year during COVID, the bye weeks were super, super important for each team. Yep. So I think a two bye week would be great. And just to have the 16 games or still 17 games I don't know. I think that would be awesome though.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of preseason football as well, but I do think it does help the players and it helps the coaching staff, and it's good for the young players trying to get a feel of the game and some guys that are trying to make teams. So I do ideally think they should at least keep a minimum 2 preseason games.
I completely agree. And I think that this year is going to be interesting because like last year when we had COVID and there was no OTAs, there were no rookie mini camps, and they came into to training camp, and there was that was the first time that they'd been around each other for all summer and for all of that. It was just weird, and I know there was a couple times when we would talk to the guys during the season, and they'd be like, "This is the first time that we've been physically in person with a lot of these players." Zoom meetings are not the same as being in the locker room with these guys or being on the sideline with these guys. So I think that this year is going to be interesting, especially for the Bills, that they had such a great team, but it took them 6 weeks, I guess, like for the defense even to come back to the team that they were at the end of the 2019 season when they finished in the top 2 in the defenses in the league. So I think this year that when they actually have all the OTAs and the rookie mini camps and everything, and they get to really form that team bond earlier than training camp and earlier than the first 6 games of the season, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to watch and really fun to watch.
Yeah, because I know the offense in the NFL was up a lot last year, and it took a long time for the season for defenses to get a little feel of it. So I do think this having a regular training camp and a couple preseason games, I think the product will be a little bit better in September than it was last year.
Oh, 100%. And I hope that that's the case. That's what I'm fingers crossed praying for. Cause I remember watching those first couple games, be like, man, this is just sloppy ball. Everybody is, it's just like, there's no communication, and it probably is just because they hadn't had that time to be together and to fix all those little mistakes. And it's not the same doing it virtually as doing it in person.
I was going to ask you, when is the Bills training camp start in July, and is the media going to be allowed to attend this year?
We're not sure exactly what the guidelines are going to be for the media. I know that for the stuff that they have going on right now, that it's kind of the same as it was during the season last year, when there's only a couple, people that can go and be in person at the facilities. Like during the season. And I'm sure that they're probably still getting tested, but they're just kind of figuring it out as they go. I'm sure that once we get to July and they start, coming up with the guidelines for training camp and stuff, it's going to be a lot more clear to us. But as of right now, I don't have the answer to that. I'm hoping that the Bills and that the NFL will come up with that answer pretty soon here, though, because it is now it's June.
Yeah, because my last NFL game I went to was September 2019, the Eagles at Green Bay at Lambeau Field, and my last sporting event was December 2019. So it's going on almost 2 years since I've been to a live sporting event.
Yeah, and mine's the same thing. I hadn't been since November of 2019, actually, when the Redskins, back in the day when they were the Redskins, when now the Washington football team came to Buffalo and played the Bills, and that was my first Bills game since I had moved here in 2019. So that was pretty cool. My family came in town, and we were able to go and see the dreaded Redskins play the Bills, and the Bills spanked him pretty hard there. But I know I'm looking forward to fans being back in the stands. I know they were in at least here in Buffalo for the first 2 playoff games, and my boyfriend and his family got to go, and they were just so incredibly hyped up. And I know there was only like 6,700 fans there, but they said it felt like the stands were completely packed. So Buffalo Bills, I know that they are definitely wanting to get their fans back in the stands. And I think that that's the plan as of right now, to have 100% capacity. So with that, I think it's 100% capacity, and they have to be fully vaccinated to be able to get in. So I'm hoping that everything's going to kind of return back to normal whenever it gets to be the season again in September.
I think even when the U.S.-Canada land bordering crossings open, which is, I think, still going to be a couple months away, because most of the people in Ontario have only had 1 shot so far. You guys are ahead of us with the vaccine. I think they're going to have a vaccine card to cross the border too, as well as sporting events and any workplaces as well in the future.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm actually going to the Blue Jays playing the Astros here in Buffalo this weekend, and I'm going to the game on Sunday, and I'm looking forward to flashing that card and being like, I'm here, I'm vaccinated. I can't wait to sit in the stands and see a live baseball game for me for the first time in a long, long time. So I think the last time I went was when the Rangers probably lost to someone, and it was probably a pretty big spanking. But I'm looking forward to going to a Blue Jays game. I think it's my first Blue Jays game ever.
Yeah, and they seem to play well in that stadium. Like last year, they had a really good record. This year, they're off to a good start, and they've done a really nice job with I've been there for Saline Field. I keep calling it Coca-Cola Field, but they changed the name. But they've done a really good job with doing upgrades with that ballpark.
Oh my gosh, I know, looking at all the renovations and stuff that the Blue Jays did when they came and played here last year, to like the permanent upgrades that they did to make it their home stadium this year. I mean, Saline Field looks completely different than it did whenever it was just the Bison's field, but they have really come in and made it a Class A stadium. So I'm looking for it, because I went to one Bison's game at the end of the 2019 season. So I'm looking forward to seeing, what's different when I walk in on Sunday.
Yeah, because my last game there was 2019 when the Bisons took on the Syracuse Mets, because I wanted to see Tim Tebow play, and he was a no scratch, and now he's back in football again with the Jaguars as a tight end at the age of 34.
I know, how crazy is that? I mean, I guess when you have a good relationship with your college coach and he ends up being an NFL coach, I guess that's what happens.
But you know what? You're lucky in Buffalo, because the Sabres hopefully will turn things around. I'll talk to you about them after. The Bills are on the right path to being successful, and the Buffalo Bisons, hopefully they'll be back next year in Buffalo. AAA baseball is really good, and you got lacrosse too. The Buffalo Bandits, pretty successful lacrosse league team, and I'm hoping to go to my first lacrosse game. I was supposed to go 2 years ago, but that got delayed with the COVID. Lacrosse is really a good sport to check out too.
I actually am just becoming a pretty big lacrosse fan here. It's not really a big thing down in Texas and down south. So when I moved up here, I was really looking forward to covering my first lacrosse season last year, and then obviously everything didn't turn out the way that I had hoped. So this year I'm able to get my first lacrosse season in for high school and college, and I've had to start at the bottom of the barrel. I didn't know anything about lacrosse. I was terrible when I first shot the first couple games, but I've definitely improved over the season, over the last couple months. So it's been a lot of fun. It's a really fast game. It reminds me a lot of like hockey and basketball and baseball. So it's a lot going on, and I'm trying to just figure out the lingo and, what I'm supposed to shoot and what it's supposed to look like. But it's been a lot of fun for me. And I also was wanting to go to my first Bandits game last year. And then their season got cut short. So hopefully I'll be able to get in a box lacrosse game whenever they start up again in the fall. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
I should put you in touch with one of my friends. His name is Pat Gregor. I've had him on here. He's a color analyst with the National Cross League's Halifax Thunderbirds, and he knows the game inside and out. And he's a really good guy. And he's hopefully he'll be a broadcaster soon too. He's very professional on the air with them. So if you ever need to talk to someone about the league, Pat Gregor is the guy I would refer you to.
All right, awesome. Yeah, let's definitely connect us. That'd be great.
Definitely, yeah. Really good guy, and he loves all sports, but he's teaching me about lacrosse too, and I'm still learning about it. But the one team in Toronto moved to Hamilton, so they're going to be closer to Buffalo and have even more of a rivalry with the Bandits at some point too. Hamilton's
right across the border.
Yeah, about an hour drive from Hamilton to Buffalo. So that'll be interesting. But they're keeping the name the Toronto Rock. And I don't think the people in Hamilton, which is 500,000 people, want Toronto's name on their franchise. So I think eventually they'll call themselves the Hamilton Rock or the Ontario Rock, which would make more sense. Then they could represent the whole province.
Oh, yeah, that would make a lot more sense. Yeah, and definitely. I think that, Toronto, they have their name on enough stuff, and we've just been calling them the Buffalo Blue Jays since they've been here. So
yes, and they have and I like their blue jerseys, the powder blues. So
oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping that there's a lot of trash can banging when they're playing the Astros this weekend in this series.
Speaking of that, I had their longtime radio guy on my podcast last Friday, Jerry Howarth. He did the Blue Jay games from 1981 to 2017. Super great guy to interview. And I don't know how I got him on my podcast, but one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And he saw so many Blue Jays games over the years in Toronto on that. So and again, I want to say thank you for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for finding me and putting me on here. This has been great.
Yes, and I always use my guests. If you're from Buffalo, I use either the Bill Stadium as my background or the Sabres Arena, or it just depends on my guests. I try to change the backgrounds for them.
Yeah, this is awesome. I know when I came on, I was like, oh, there's Keebank. Yes. It's been, I actually went to my first Sabres game back in late 2019 when the Dallas Stars came to play. So the Stars have been my hockey team since I was a kid growing up. I don't remember when they played the Sabres and beat the Sabres in the Stanley Cup, but I've heard a lot of flack about just being a Stars fan. So it was pretty fun to be here and be able to go and watch the Stars. And I did wear a Stars jersey when I was there. I just have to let that one slide. But then the Sabres beat them 5-0. So it was kind of a little bit of karma.
Yeah, that was 1999 when Brett Hall scored the so-called no goal against Dominic Hasek. And ironically, Hall and Hasek became teammates with the Red Wings in 2002 and won a cup in Detroit.
Look at that. Yeah, I know. The first thing the people said whenever I moved here and they asked me if I was a Stars fan, the first thing they were like, he was in the crease. It's like, I was 6, so I don't remember. I don't remember that at all. Yeah.
Between the no goal and the wide right, those are the two things you should mention in Buffalo: no wide right and no goal.
Yeah, that's why I think it was kind of karma whenever the Buffalo Bills went down and played the Cowboys in Dallas on Thanksgiving last year. And Josh Allen was able to eat a turkey wing on the star in the middle of Cowboys Stadium and on TV. So that was a little bit of kind of you guys beat us in the Super Bowl, but we beat you on Thanksgiving in your own turf.
Definitely. Okay. Are you okay for time for a little bit? I just have a few questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, no problem. The first one I was going to ask you is, can you just tell my audience a bit about yourself, and when did you decide you wanted to pursue a career in broadcasting, media, and as a sports digital reporter?
Yeah, so like I said, I grew up in Dallas. I went to the University of Texas for college down here, and I graduated in 2016. I always knew that I wanted to do something with sports. I've always been I played all the sports growing up. I always watched sports with my dad and my brother on Sundays. We'd sit there and watch the Cowboys or whoever was playing on Sunday. And we are big Texas Longhorns fans, so we would go down to Austin every single time there was a home game. We were season ticket holders. So I grew up in a Darrell Cray Royal Memorial Stadium down in Austin every Saturday cheering on the Longhorns. So I knew I always wanted to do something because I was always talking about sports, always around them growing up. And when I knew I wasn't going to be able to be good enough to play any kind of sports in college, I figured that talking about it and writing about it was going to be the next best thing. So I decided to pursue a broadcast journalism degree from the University of Texas. And then shortly after graduation, I started at my first market in Abilene, Texas, which is middle of West Texas, kind of the middle of the state, if you just like put a pinpoint on it, if you're looking at a map. And it was 3 hours away from Dallas, 3 hours away from Austin. So it was pretty, my two home cities, I like to say. It was a pretty great place to start. And I was all over local sports. So I was doing a lot of high school, a lot of college sports. Every once in a while would do a little bit of Rangers or Cowboys, not really any very much Stars coverage or Mavs coverage, but got to do a lot of that. And then I was there for 3 years, and I came here to Buffalo in 2019, and I've done a little bit of everything. I've kind of spearheaded the high school coverage here at our station at WIVB, and I've also done a lot of college sports, and then also this last year done a lot more Bill stuff with all the Zooms and being able to do a lot of stuff virtually. So it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed my time here, and I just can't really wait to see what everything kind of picks up now that sports are fully back here.
Which is great. I was going to ask you, you already answered one of my questions. Did you have a mentor when you first started out?
I did. So I had a couple of internships at TV stations throughout my time in college. So my first mentors were sports directors at the stations that I interned with, and they were really very integral in my career when I first started out, and they were really helpful in letting me know, you're going to be going to a small town in the middle of nowhere, and it's going to be nothing like you'd ever experienced before, because coming from Dallas, which is a huge city, to Austin, which is a really big city, to Abilene, which had a population of like 250,000, like that was completely different from what I was ever used to. So they were always there whenever I needed to call them or email them, or they, like, hey, I just did this. Could you tell me what you think about it? Or like what you would change. And so it was very, very important for me to have some mentors, and they've been super important in my career.
Okay. I always like to ask that question too. Next question I was going to ask you, Mary, is what was your first job in TV broadcasting and as a reporter?
So it was in Abilene. It was at KTAB and KRBC TV. Those are right. It was the duopoly, a CBS station and a NBC station in Abilene. And I was a sports reporter and weekend anchor there for 3 years.
Okay. What was it like covering the high school sports or high school football in Abilene? Because high school sports is like almost as popular as pro sports in your country. We have it here in Canada and Ontario, but it's nowhere like it is set up in the States with high school sports, especially football.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, high school sports I like to tell people, like, high school sports is king down in Texas. Like, we have stadiums that hold thousands and thousands and thousands of people. We have stadiums for high schools that are bigger than stadiums for college. So like that just tells you everything that you need to know. And it was super fun because I was always a huge high school sports fan. My dad one of the first things he likes to tell people when he meets them is that he was on my high school's very first state championship winning football team. So he in his 50s tells people that he won a high school state championship back in the 80s. But it's so big down here, and it's so fun getting to cover kids because, high school and college is just something different than the NFL, when you can be, NFL, you can have one player that's on the team for 10, 15 years, and, they're a career player. But in high school and college, you only get a little portion of your life. And so I've always enjoyed covering those teams and the kids down here, because they I feel like they deserve it just as much as the pro teams do.
Yeah, because one of my guests on a month ago, Brad Galley from WXYZ Channel 7 in Detroit, he covers a lot of high school sports in Michigan, and he was telling me similar stuff in Michigan. Like, they love their football in Michigan too. How do you find the high school football in New York State, in the Western New York? Do you find it's fairly competitive too?
It is competitive. I mean, I grew up down in Texas, so Texas and California are usually the two biggest. Texas, California, and Florida are like the biggest states that produce a lot of the football players in the country. But I think that, you know, kids up here in New York are just as competitive, and they are often overlooked more than those kids down south. So I mean, for me, the seasons are a lot shorter up here, because down south it's like 11 week, 10 game regular season and then full playoffs, and down up here it's 7 weeks for regular season. So there's less games and there's shorter playoffs than it is down in Texas. So it's just less opportunities for these kids to be, you know, to kind of showcase their skills. So I've always enjoyed covering them up here, and you know, anything that I can do, any highlight that I shoot, someone will ask me if I can send them the highlight so that they can put it on their highlight reel and hopefully send it out to college coaches. And I've always been a big fan of of helping kids kind of move past the high school and being able to play college sports.
I was going to say, I didn't know that. Has there been any talk in New York State of increasing their schedule to maybe 9 or 10 games instead of 7?
I don't know. I know that a lot of the coaches that I have talked to are in favor of that. But then this year with COVID, because, you know, they didn't play the football season in the fall, they played it in the spring. And so that was even shorter. It was only a 5-game regular season and then 2 games in playoffs. And so they stopped at the section, like the region championship. So they got even less opportunities this season to put anything on their highlight reel. So I'm hoping that maybe in the next couple of years that they'd be able to play more than 7 regular season games. But I know that's been like a point of contention across at least the section that I work in. But I think it would be awesome. I mean, these kids deserve more than the 7 games that they're given.
Yeah, because that doesn't give you much of an opportunity. To me, I think it should be at least 9. I would say at least 9 or 10 games. But I guess hopefully in the future they will do that. But thank you for letting me know that, because I had no idea there was quite a difference between how many games they play in Texas than Western New York.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Texas, if you make it all the way to the state championship game, you could have, it's a 16-game season. And down here, the most that you could get if you have a 7-game regular season and then 4 playoff games is 11. So that's 5 games that, and as you go on through the season, everything gets better and everything gets cleaner. And I think that it would be beneficial to everybody if you could play more. I also understand that we are battling the weather up here more than they are down south. And, I've been on the sidelines when it's snowing, and that's just a little bit different than, and then I guess they do battle the weather down in Texas when, the first couple games you're standing in 105-degree heat as opposed to 20-degree weather when it's snowing. So I guess weather isn't an issue no matter where you are in the country.
Okay. How many teams are there in Western New York for high school football, if you know that by any chance?
I wish I knew exactly how many, but I know that there are a couple of different classifications, starting from like Class AA, which is the biggest, it goes all the way down to Class D. I would like to say there's probably like I can't even come up with the number. I think it's over 60. So that's there's so many schools, and it is a big area, and there's a lot of schools all across and all different kind of in different classifications around here.
Okay. And I'm still learning about it too, because like I said, I follow the NFL, CFL, and college football, but high school football here in Ontario and Canada is hockey and basketball now. Basketball is right up there with hockey here.
Really? And, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Football is okay, but they don't put the money into the programs like they do in the States, but basketball definitely, and hockey for sure. So that's why I was just glad to ask you a little bit about high school football in Texas and Western New York.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure lacrosse is probably big up there too, because I was seeing that, like, looking on the Bandits roster in 2019, every single player on the roster was from Canada, and I thought that was very interesting.
Well, hopefully when I do go to a Bandits game, I'll run into you at a game.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, no problem. My next question for you, Mary, is how did you come about working as a digital sports reporter for WIVB in Buffalo? And how much of an adjustment, if any, was it coming from Abilene, Texas, or Dallas area to Western New York?
So I just saw this posting and I thought that it was exactly what I looked to do and what I was excited about. Cause I was, like I said, I was a weekend sports anchor in Abilene. But I always loved the reporting aspect of the job more than the anchoring aspect. So seeing a job that was just strictly being a reporter and being able to go out and shoot stuff every single day and not have to worry about coming back and, being on air for TV late at night. That was a huge drawing point for me to want to come here and have, play this job, to have this job. And it's been a whirlwind, but it's been so much fun. I've gotten to cover so many different things throughout my time here. And I've had a great time, and I'm just looking forward to seeing, where this position continues to take me in the next couple of years. And there was definitely an adjustment coming from Abilene. Weather being the number one thing, it's so hot down south during the summer, but it's so cold up here during the winter. So it was, completely different for me in that aspect. So just having to buy like an actual winter coat, that was something new. But the food is great up here. The people are awesome. I've had a lot of fun, and Buffalo is a great place to be.
I agree. And before COVID, I was coming over probably about once a month or about once a month. I'm only about an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on traffic, to the border. So to me, going across the border to Western New York or the Buffalo area didn't feel like I was really leaving Canada, because people in Buffalo like a lot of the things that we like in Canada. We like hockey, beer, good music, chicken wings. Oh, I was going to ask you, do you like chicken wings, and do you have a favorite place for them?
I do like wings. I liked them back when I was in Texas, but they definitely don't compare to the wings up here. I think my favorite place is probably Barbell out in East Aurora. I haven't tried the Barbell in Clarence, but Barbell, I mean, their hot honey mustard or hot honey butter, those are just they're so good. And I can't even explain it to anybody who hasn't even tried the wings up here, that they're just so much better than the wings down south.
Yeah, I've had the Anchor bars. They're good. They've had Dust.
Anchor bar is good. I like Anchor bar.
I haven't tried the place you just mentioned now. So hopefully when I can go across the border again in the future, I'll have to try that. I'll have to ask you. I'll get you to write down the name for me again in a message later, and I'll have to try it the next time I come down there. I'm hoping to go to a Billy Joe concert this August, because I was supposed to take a family member last August and it got postponed because of COVID. And now the border still hasn't opened, and I'm hoping it will be by August, because I would like to go to the Billy Joe concert at New Era Field in August.
Oh yeah, I know. There's a lot of people that are in the same boat, that they were trying to go last year, and then everything obviously got canceled. So I'm hoping that that all of the Canadian fans will be able to come over here and really just fully come back into the States.
Definitely. My next question I was going to ask you, did anyone take you under their wing, I guess, mentor you when you first started at WIVB, or just show you the ropes?
Yes, my former coworker, who is now a sports reporter and anchor in Pittsburgh, Jenna Harner, she was so great whenever I moved here, and she was awesome, and she helped me find my apartment. She helped me, just kind of find the ropes and learn the ropes about everything about Buffalo. Take me to really great restaurants and show me cool bars and everything about that. She was so much fun, and we had such a great time when I first moved here. And then she actually just got a great job, and she is just killing it down in Pittsburgh. But it was so fun to have her, and we were just always talking whenever we were here in the sports office together.
Speaking of Pittsburgh, I believe their season opener is at Buffalo at New Era Field.
It is, yeah. It'll be the first week of the season, which will be really fun, because she'll get to come down here and hang out in Buffalo again.
Oh, that's all right. And like I said, the Steelers, we'll see what happens with Big Ben Roethlisberger, because last year he wasn't very good at all.
No, he wasn't. And it was also fun because they played, I think they had a 1-game losing streak at that point. They'd only lost 1 game in the season when they came and played the Bills, but the Bills really stomped on them. So that was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, they did draft that running back, Najee Harris, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Najee Harris.
Yeah, I think, and that's another thing I was going to address to you about the Bills too. I think they got to get more production out of Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. The same with the Eagles running game too. We have Miles Sanders, but Sanders is sort of like Devin Singletary, a finesse running back, good speed. You sort of need that kind of a power type running back too for like second and ones and third and ones and stuff like that. So I'd like, if I was a Bills fan, I would like to see them use Zach Moss a little bit more, and hopefully he can stay healthy.
I definitely agree. I think he was battling some injuries and he had turf toe and some problems towards the end of the season. So I think just this year in his second year, I think it'll be good to see hopefully some growth from his rookie season, because he did have a very productive rookie season.
Yeah, because I know with the NFL now, it's changed a lot since I started watching in the 70s. It's now more 85% pass, 15% running. But during the playoffs, you need to have a two-dimensional offense. And I think that's kind of did the Bills in the AFC Championship against Kansas City last year, because Kansas City could just play coverage, man coverage, physically with the Bills receivers, as they didn't really respect the Bills running game.
Absolutely. And I think the Chiefs are they have been for the last couple seasons, but they are the team to beat in the AFC. So just kind of watching them and seeing what they do differently from the Bills, I think it's going to be a lot. They can learn a lot from watching the Chiefs.
But I do think the Bills, Billy Beane did a very good job with the draft and getting some pass rushers in there as well.
Absolutely. They got some huge guys coming in on the defensive line. And I think, I can't even imagine being as tall as they are. They got like some 6'7", 6'8" players, just huge bodies. So I think that, if they can really step up and step into some pretty big roles in their first couple seasons, I think that it'll definitely be a positive for the Bills.
Because I was going to say, this as well as I do, football, it all starts with the D-line and the O-line, and then you build from there.
Absolutely. You have to start in the trenches. So
definitely.
I think the Bills have a really good offensive line and a really, steady offensive line that they've been building up for the last couple of seasons. And, to get some more big bodies on the D-line, I think is going to be great.
Well, as much as I don't like the Cowboys, they have a very good offensive line, and hopefully Dak Prescott can stay healthy. Do you think Ezekiel Elliott has been used enough under Mike McCarthy last year, or do you think he might get the ball a little bit more this year to take a little more pressure off of Prescott?
I mean, I hope so, but I also think that, Zeke is always overhyped and, to me personally, kind of underperforms year after year besides his rookie year. I mean, I don't think he's ever been up at the same kind of height that he was in his first year in the league. And it's just, hopefully McCarthy will be able to kind of, show off some different things in his second season. Again, I think being a first-year coach during COVID would have been incredibly hard, but I'm kind of just looking forward to seeing what the Cowboys do in this second season under McCarthy.
I was going to say, I think the whole NFC East is going to be improved this year. I think Washington's going to be stronger. I think the Giants are going to be better. I think the Eagles have to be better. And I think Dallas will bounce back with Dak Prescott, an MVP candidate, back as well.
Yeah, I hope that the NFC East is not just the laughing stock of the NFL like they were last season. Yeah,
definitely. And I never thought – I had the Eagles winning 10 or 11 games last year. I didn't see them dropping right down to 4 wins. So you just don't – you never know from one year to the next year. So
yeah, I mean, this league is just so different. It's year to year. It's just completely – it's anybody's game at any point.
I was going to say, as much as I don't like the Patriots, I don't think you're going to see a dynasty like that again in the NFL, 20-year run like they had.
I think they really lucked out. And it was also as a Bills reporter, it was kind of fun watching them kind of struggle last season.
Yes, because they've had Buffalo's numbers for pretty well 20 years.
Yeah, pretty much 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, about 2021, yeah. So I was going to say, my next question I was going to ask you, Mary, are you still okay for time?
I can do a couple more questions, but I'm gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon here.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. Okay, I'll just do a couple more questions and that's it. What's it like overall being in Buffalo in the Western New York area and being in a market that loves the Bills and Sabres?
It is great. I have absolutely loved my time here in Buffalo and Western New York. Everybody, like I said, when I moved here, everyone's just so nice and they're so helpful. And it's just been, really, really fun being in a city that's big, but it still has that small town feel. And then being in a huge sports market like Buffalo, it's been really fun. It's definitely a good time to be up here in Buffalo.
Okay. And just two more questions and I'll let you go. I'm sorry, I should have asked you ahead of time how you were for time-wise. So thank you for letting me know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no problem. And my next question I was going to ask you is, what is the hardest aspect of the industry and what do you love about it the most?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think just, having to be on all the time. That's definitely a hard aspect about just being a journalist and being, a known figure around the area. You can't really kind of go off on anybody. You have to kind of continue to always hold up your image. But I love it. I definitely love being, being able to give a voice to people that, normally wouldn't have had one and doing different kind of stories about different teams and different players. I've always just loved kind of forging those relationships.
Okay. This is just one last question. Okay, this one I wanted to ask you. Do you have a favorite music, artist, band, hobbies, and restaurants in the Buffalo area?
I don't know much about the music and the, bands around the area because I moved here and then 6 months later, everything shut down. So I'm looking forward to kind of more live music as everything's opening back up. But favorite restaurants, I am a big Italian food fan. So Tapo downtown has been one of my favorites. Let's see, I like Barbill for wings, like I said. There's just a ton of great restaurants around here, and I'm just trying to try everything as I continue to go along and not stick stay in one spot.
Okay. And just these are two really quick questions for you, and I will let you go, Mary. Maybe I can have you come back on again in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely. I was going to ask you, do you have any good advice for those, not just myself, looking to pursue a career in media, either TV or radio?
I think my best advice to anybody that I've ever given about being on TV or radio in general, just, have confidence and know what you're talking about and, have a lot of knowledge about it. It doesn't always have to be like X's and O's for everything, but just know, if you're talking about the NFL, know like the generalities of everything that's going on. And then say it with confidence. To say things with confidence, I feel like that just boosts your own confidence and it makes you sound better and it makes people listen. If you're just kind of saying like, oh yeah, the Bills, they had a really great season last year. But if you say it, kind of puff out your chest a little bit and say it with a smile, a lot more people will listen.
Okay. And before I let you go, I just got to get your quick thoughts on the Sabres winning the 2021 NHL draft lottery. And yes or no, Jack, just a quick yes or no, Jack Eichel remains a Sabre in 2021, 2022.
I think the Sabres are going to definitely have to look long and hard as to who they're going to draft first overall. Having Rasmus Dahlin a couple years ago and coming first overall here to Buffalo, I think that he's just continuing to make strides. And after Ralph Kruger left halfway through the season, he played a lot better. So continuing to see his style of play continuing to progress. I think that the Sabres are definitely going to have to find someone who's just going to make an immediate impact either now or, in a couple years down the road with that first overall pick. And then I just don't think that Jack Eichel is going to continue to be a Sabre next year. I think that he's going to try and get out and find a team that actually is is going to be a winning team. That's my personal opinion. Listening to his post-season interviews, that was the overwhelming.
Yeah, because my team's the Detroit Red Wings, and we've been bad the last 5 years. We're paying for success, and we haven't had any luck with the draft lottery. But like I said, I'm hoping Steve Yzerman can turn the ship around. So it all starts with management and the coaching. And maybe the next time, if you do come on in the future, we could talk a little bit more about the Buffalo Sabres and see how they might be able to turn things around a little bit in 2020, 21, 2022 season.
Hopefully they do turn it around, because they need to.
Definitely. And just before I let you go, just can where my audience find you on WIVB and social media?
So on social media, I am at MMJ5838. And then on WIVB, you can go to our sports page, and pretty much anything high school related, that's me. But then I'm also all over, the college beat, and every once in a while, the Bills and Sabres stuff. So underneath our sports page, you can find it.
Okay, definitely. Mary, I'm going to let you go, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on 30 Minutes Live with CDP podcast. And hopefully, again, we can have you on again in the future and maybe talk a little bit more about the Buffalo Sabres and maybe a little more about the Bandits as well.
Thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate it, and I had a lot of fun.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Have a great day, and we'll keep in touch.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Anyways, guys, I just want to say thank you to Mary Margaret Johnson, a digital sports reporter from WIVB Channel 4 in Buffalo, for coming on today. I had to let her go a little bit early, but I just appreciate her coming on. And you guys can follow her at MMJ5838 on Twitter, and she's also on Facebook as well. And you can check her out at WIVB.com under their sports section as well. Before I take comments and all that, I'm just going to play a little bit a video clip of some of her work when she was in Abilene, Texas. Just 1 second, guys. I'm just going to play a couple minute clip.
Here we go. The first week of high school football is just a week away, and the first Friday Night Live is here right now. How can it be time already? I really have no idea.
The ASU Wildcats are looking to make history here when they take the field in about 30 minutes at McLean Stadium as the very first ASU team to ever take on a Big 12 opponent. When the Abilene High Eagles take the field here at Pennington Field against LD Bell tonight, they're going to be playing for more than just their second district win. Instead, they're going to be playing to rally around senior Clay Cox and head coach Del Van Cox, whose father passed away earlier this week. Simmons has 3 weeks of fall camp before they hit the road for their first game against Trinity on September 8th. After graduating a very successful senior class last year, the Mustangs return only 2 starters on both sides of the ball.
Well, on Sundays, we take a look back at this past week's high school football performances from around the big country, and we recognize several athletes who had some great performances.
It's been 5 years since the Albany Lady Lions found themselves back in Austin for the state tournament. Now, after a hard-fought season and an undefeated record through the playoffs, the Albany Lady Lions season comes to an end at the hands of reigning state champion Bell.
College football action continuing this Saturday as Hardin-Simmons is at home taking on the Howard Payne Yellow Jackets. HSU looking to remain unbeaten on the season as they play under the lights at Shelton Stadium for the first time ever in ASC play. Cowboys come out guns blazing. Jaquan Hemphill takes the handoff and heads for the races. That's a 58-yard touchdown for the senior, his second in the game. Hardin-Simmons leads 14-0, and they keep on going. Second quarter now, Reese Childress takes the snap directly, finds a hole, and takes it to the house for a 15-yard touchdown. Cowboys up 21-0. Howard Payne responds, though. Jackets on their own 24-yard line. Gage McClanahan finds Jordan Bryant, who turns on the Jets. 75 yards later, he finds himself in the end zone. It is now 21-7. Hardin-Simmons still.
Anyways, guys, that's just a little bit of Mary's work with Abilene, Texas TV stations down there. So I just thought I would play her a little bit of a clip of her work, and I really appreciate Mary coming on today. Again, Mary joined WIVB Channel 4 in Buffalo in August 2019 from Abilene, Texas, KTAB and KRBC down in Texas. So I really appreciate that. Anyways, guys, I thank everybody for coming on today, and Mary as well. Really appreciate that. And I've had a busy week this week, 3 shows in 3 days. So 1 second, guys, I'm going to do comments. Mark Richardson, thank you, buddy, for watching as always. Great guest. Appreciate it. You can follow Mary on Twitter, again, at MMJ5838 on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. Mark, I really appreciate it. And let's see. We got some hockey. We got some basketball tonight too, by the way, guys. Let's see. The NBA playoffs this evening. We got the LA Clippers facing elimination at Denver, Game 6. Denver leads 3-2, so it's a must-win time for Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, and we'll see what happens. Last night, Phoenix beat the Lakers 113-100, so the world champion Lakers are no longer champions, and Phoenix will be going to the second round against Denver. That should be quite the series between the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. I predict it's going to go 7 games. So LeBron and AD weren't healthy, but you know what? Phoenix outplayed them, and like I said, the Lakers relied a lot on LeBron this year, and he's been hurt, and AD's had injury problems most of the year too. So I'm not really shocked that the Lakers are out, but this is the first time in LeBron James's career that he's been eliminated in the first round. He was previously 14-0 in the first round, but all good things come to an end. So, but I'm really looking forward to that second round between Phoenix and Denver, and I guess it would be Denver if they win, or Utah. I made a boo-boo there because Denver's still playing the Clippers tonight. So we'll see Clippers at Dallas. Pardon me. So it is the Clippers at Dallas. Denver is already eliminated. Denver's already moving on to the second round. So I made a mistake there, guys. I apologize. So tonight's game is the Clippers at Dallas, not Denver. So I made a boo-boo there. So it happens to all of us. So anyways, guys, NHL playoffs tonight. Hopefully I got this right. We got Montreal Winnipeg tonight at Game 2. Habs lead 1-0 after their 5-3 Game 1 series win. And then we got Colorado Vegas in Vegas tonight. Avalanche lead 2-0. So, Winnipeg will be without their defenseman, Mark Scheifele, who got suspended for 4 games, and that's going to be a huge loss to the Jets. So tonight is a must-win for Winnipeg, I think. And then same with Vegas. They don't want to go down 3-0 to Colorado as well. So, anyways, guys, so enjoy the games tonight. And like I said, that's been that Clippers-Dallas series. The home team has lost every game, 0-5, because the Clippers have won 2 games in Dallas, and Dallas has won all 3 at the Staples Center in LA. So who knows? The Clippers could easily win that game and force a Game 7 back at the Staples Center. But that's been a road series, so that should be interesting tonight. So anyways, guys, like I said, and Denver moved on to the second round by eliminating Memphis, and Utah. It's going to be a really good second round of playoffs, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm looking forward to seeing the Suns play in the second round against Dallas. Suns would play Denver in the second round. So anyways, guys, I'll get that straight. Let's see. My next question, this is a CDP question of the week. Should the Maple Leafs clean house with their management, Shanahan, Kyle Dubas, Sheldon Keefe, and should they trade one of their core fours? That's Tavares, Marner, Matthews, and Nylander. So do you think the Leafs should stay status quo with their entire management and coaching staff, and do you think they should stay the same with their core 4, or do you think it's time to make some major changes? Because the Maple Leafs now have not won a playoff series in over 6,255 days now. April 20th, 2004 is the last time they won a playoff round, and Brendan Shanahan has been president of the Maple Leafs since 2015. I believe they've missed the playoffs 1 or 2 years, and they've been put out in the playoffs in the first round 5 times. And I know the core 4 on this team is young, but this is 5 years now, and a Montreal team that they were supposed to beat in 5 or 6 games, and Montreal outcoached them and outplayed them, and Carey Price outplayed Jack Campbell. So anyways, guys, I just want to see if anybody wants to comment on this. Mark Richardson says they need to clean house, trade 88 Nylander. Mark, if you said this a year ago, I would agree with you on trading William Nylander. But Nylander was really the only Leaf player that showed up in the series against Montreal. He had 5 goals, and he showed a little more grit. Honestly, I can't see them trading Matthews. Tavares is going to be staying there. I think Willie Nylander's going to stay with his performance this year. I think Mitch Marner, it's not his fault they lost the series, but being a young player and being in his hometown pretty well. Tavares is about 10 years older than Marner. I would say if they had to trade one of their four players, I would say Mitch Marner. And I think maybe it might be better for him to be somewhere else because there's so much pressure on him in Toronto to produce. And Toronto is a hard market for any of these guys. But I would say out of the core four, Mitch Marner would be the one I would look at trading. And we'll see what happens there. But we'll see what happens. And the NHL draft was this week, guys. Buffalo Sabres get the number one selection. I know everyone's complaining, Buffalo's getting it again. Buffalo's only had the number one pick in their history 3 times. 1987, Pierre Turgeon, number one overall, just before the draft lottery. 2018 draft lottery, they got the number one pick in Rasmus Dahlin, and then 2021. So a lot of people are thinking, the Sabres are like the Oilers, but that's not the case. This is only the 3rd time Buffalo has picked number one overall. Again, Dahlin in 18, Turgeon in 87, and now 2021. Most likely the Sabres are going to take defenseman from Michigan, Owen Powell. Most likely. I know the Red Wings are going to be picking 6, but you know what? The Red Wings have done well. They've got Lucas Raymond, Philip Zadina, Mort Seider, a big German defenseman that's going to be ready to play for the Red Wings next year. So you can pick as high as you want, but it's still a 50-50 crapshoot. So like I said, you just have to have a little bit of luck too. As you know, in other sports, guys can be drafted in the 6th round, 199th overall like Brady or Nick Lidstrom and Zetterberg in Detroit, where they were late draft picks. So we'll see what happens there. But Seattle will have the number 2 pick and Buffalo number 1. And I figure Owen Powell will go to Buffalo. So I'm not sure what Steve Yzerman's going to do. We'll see what happens there. But the Wings could use a little bit of more offense with their forwards. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, I want to say thank you again. I've had a great week. I had Kelly Dudzik on Wednesday afternoon on my podcast from WGR Channel 2. And then I had Kelly on Tuesday. I had Karis from WGR, the reporter, on Wednesday as well. That was nice of her to come on as well. Karis Belger. And then today I had Margaret Johnson coming on from WIVB Channel 4. So it's been an old Buffalo week, but I hope you guys all enjoyed all 3 podcasts. Again, guys, my next show won't be until next Friday, June 11th. If I do have another show before June 11th, which is next Friday, I will let you guys know ahead of time, okay? Friday, June 11th, I have a doubleheader. I have a chief meteorologist from CW8 in San Diego, Carlene Chavez, coming on at 4 p.m. And then next Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific, I'm going to have one of the world's oldest comedians and funniest comedians, Marty Ross, who's from America's Got Talent, is going to come on and talk about being a comedian later on in life and what's it like changing careers and going into show business and comedy, and what was it like being on America's Got Talent. So next Friday, 4 o'clock Eastern, I have Carlene Chavez, chief meteorologist from CW8 in San Diego, on to talk about her career in weather in Southern California. And then we're going to have a comedian, Marty Ross, on at 8 o'clock. So 4 o'clock Eastern for Carlene, 1 Pacific, and with Marty Ross, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. So anyways, guys, I want to say thank you to everyone on YouTube watching this live, Facebook Live for watching this live, and Twitter as well, watching it on live. And just to let you know, guys, just 1 second, guys. I'm going to wrap this up in a minute. Just 1 second. 30 minutes live with CDP podcast. I will download the audio version in 10 minutes. It will be on Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify, if you prefer to listen to my audio version of my podcast instead of seeing me on live. But anyways, guys, so if something changes, my next show is again not until next Friday, June 11th, 4 o'clock doubleheader. Carlene Chavez from CW8 in San Diego at 4 o'clock Eastern. And then at 8 o'clock, The Late Show with Marty Ross, comedian from the Los Angeles, California area and from America's Got Talent. So anyways, Thank you, Mark, and everybody for watching this live. Again, I appreciate Mary Margaret Johnson from WIVB Channel 4 coming on. I hope you guys all have a great Friday night. Enjoy the NBA and the NHL playoffs and some Major League Baseball as well this weekend. Lots of sports going on. So thank you all again for tuning in to 30 Minutes Live with CDP. We'll see you guys next week for another edition of 30 Minutes Live with CDP podcast. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care.